This week on Men Don't Talk.
So if anyone has kind of, been listening to the pod previously, Ben's had a couple of months off due to some family bereavement today. But in true Men Don't Talk fashion, he's come on today and come to end the season on a banger.
Well, what happened with Paddy and his counselling and his blah, blah, blah? Is his life on track or what? So is there anything you'd like to divulge at all or not? How's life been over lockdown and all that? And are you still doing the counselling?
Yeah.
Guys, I was wondering, is there any other quotes that stand out from anyone else? It's interesting that, because I've got a few quotes that have stuck in my head from this series. That one of them being the Pastor Paul, that suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
Do you know what? Can I just say what the best quote of the series was?
What?
If you get an erection, use it. Yeah, last night I went to the cinema just for the night out. Went on my own. I thought I wanted something light-hearted, so I went to see a film called An American Pickle with Seth Rogen playing two main characters. Absolute shit. Honestly, it was a 90-minute film, and in 90 minutes I laughed twice.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. It made me feel sorry for people who come watch me do stand-up. I think 2 laughs is a pretty poor ratio, to be honest.
Like we put a minimal amount of effort into this to some degree. Like we do some research and stuff, believe it or not. But the amount of effort that a lot of people must put into making a film, and when it turns out to be absolute dog turd,
honestly, it's
what do you do?
Dreadful.
What do you do? Imagine going to the premiere and telling like, "I produced this film, Dad, and it's with millions on it, and it's going to be so glitzy." You like come to the premiere and you sit there and you're like, "This is fucking shit."
It cost me 14 quid.
Oh, where are you sat then?
In the wank seat.
Royal box.
Wanking seat.
We sat in the royal box with Prince Andrew.
Yeah.
Oh, good to have you back, fella.
Yeah, you too. Start off with a bit of filth. Excellent. Love it.
So, the last time, so Ben is back, just so you know. But I was thinking the last time we spoke to you, Ben, was it the one with your uncle or was it after that? Because the one with your uncle, did you ever share? And I thought, well, this is going to go, so feel free. But did you ever share what happened with your gran as well? Because that was
my nan. This is a great story. Well, it's not really. It was she's 100 on April the 23rd, St. George's Day. And she lives on her own in Ashton-under-Lyne. And my dad works in Yorkshire, and he's going back to Shropshire where we live. And he called in to see her on his way back through. And he knocked on the window, and she got up, 100th birthday, got up, fell over, broke her hip. Which is fucking awful, obviously, yeah. So she had to go to hospital. And she was in hospital for 5 weeks. Hang on, I've just realised this is an awful story. This is really bad. But on a lighter note, she was tested while she was in hospital, tested for coronavirus, had it, no symptoms, 100, just bounced off her. She had to isolate for a week or whatever. Yeah, she caught it and no symptoms at all. It's weird, isn't it? Really weird.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And she's all right now, Ben. How's she doing?
Yeah, she's all right. She's back home and everything. Yeah. Yes. She's not bad. Yeah.
It's not an awful story, mate. That sounds like a good story.
100-year-old
Caesar. I'm sure it wasn't pleasant for 5 weeks, but she's fought off Corona.
No, but I can lead on to my mum's story because that's my mum's mum. And she was in hospital. So my mum fell ill while her mum was in hospital. And it's crazy. Like, we all went back to see my mum. And she went to the doctors. And 3 weeks later, she passed away. 3 weeks the day that she'd been to the doctors. passed away. Ovarian cancer. It was awful. I mean, there's no symptoms until it's too late. Basically, ovarian cancer. It's awful. She's so ill. It was awful. I mean, in a way, we're grateful that it was such a short space of time, rather than being dragged out and getting slowly deteriorating, getting worse. But she's so ill. Even in 3 weeks, it was almost a relief when she was out of feeling so terrible. So, anyway, and so her mum, my nan, broke up. She's in hospital. She's in hospital, and nobody's allowed to go and visit her while she's in hospital. So, nobody could tell her, and we didn't want a nurse to have to break the news to her. So, had to wait till she got out, and then my two aunties went around there and saw her and broke the news to her, and I wasn't there, thank goodness. So
My goodness.
awful.
My goodness.
Awful shit. So what kind of symptoms did she have then, mate? Was that totally out of the blue? Was she just started to feel ill and then went to the doctors, or what?
Basically, kind of. She stopped eating. She stopped eating, and she had stomach problems, constipation and stuff. And we thought that was the main problem, constipation. And because she wasn't eating with, like all kind of related to constipation, but it was the cancer, basically. The doctor came to see us after she passed away, and we were asking all sorts of questions about how long she'd had it for, and she said, "Oh, not long." She said it was so aggressive, probably 6 weeks in total. So aggressive that it just wiped her out. Awful.
No, our thoughts go out to your family, Ben, honestly, and thank you for coming back on today. So if anyone has kind of, been listening to the pod previously, Ben's had a couple of months off due to some family bereavement today. But in true Men Don't Talk fashion, he's come on today and come to end the season on a banger. We know he's back into his comedy. Things are moving a bit more positive, but we just want to obviously share our thoughts and thank you for sharing that, mate. How how have your family been? How have you been?
Right. It's been tough. I mean, the funeral was the worst day of my life. Probably always will be. Oh, well, hopefully always will be. But it was on. I mean, with COVID and everything. It was 10 people maximum at the cremation, and so in a way it's kind of nice because it was all just close family. It was me, my dad, my brother, my sister, my brother's wife, and my mum's brother and sister and their partners, and so it's better than having 100 people there you don't even know, isn't it?
Absolutely. So how have you brought yourself through the worst part? The traumatic first weeks, because obviously you're in a better spirit now to talk about it. But what's kept you positive? I
couldn't talk about it for a long time. I never thought I'd cry so much in my life. Never. I've never been a big crier, but like Niagara Falls, honestly, it's fucking
good on you, mate. Good on you for saying it, mate.
Well, it's my mum.
I think even just thinking about it,
associated with that. Exactly.
How many brothers and sisters have you got, Ben?
One of each.
One of each, right?
Yeah.
And would you normally show emotion with your brother and sister in the family? Is it like an emotional family, or are you pretty much just get on with it kind of shit?
We're a close family, but maybe not emotional. Not emotionally close, really. My dad always says he's got 3 kids, one of each. which I've never understood, to be honest. But yeah.
Sounds like your uncle's humour, that, is it?
That's it. That's his joke, to be honest. My dad, he's working. He's back at work and he's really busy with work. So I guess it's keeping his mind off it. And he spends a hell of a lot of time in the garden. He's always loved his gardening. So it's great because I'm living kind of between Oswestry and Manchester at the moment. And when I'm in Oswestry and my dad's at work, I'll go in the garden and just snack on like blackberries, tomatoes, pick whatever's fresh. It's lovely. I love it. Yeah, proper fresh fruit and veg. It's great.
Fresh and free, mate. Fresh
and
free.
Exactly. Yeah. Loads of raspberries as well. Raspberries, blueberries, blackberries, everything. Loads of tomatoes. So I do a lot of cooking now. I've started doing a lot of cooking since, because I've been living home with my dad and my sister, and so I've been doing a lot of cooking for him, and I've got really into my cooking, and I was with my girlfriend, and things got a bit kinky, and
9.5 weeks.
Yeah, well, she told me, she asked me to whip her, and yeah, all right. I don't. She said, "Talk dirty to me, and I was like, I don't really know how to talk dirty. It's not in my. I just don't understand.
Should have brought Alexa into it.
Yeah.
Once you pop, you can't stop, mate. Be careful. Like a tub of Pringles.
Yeah. So, and she's like, "Talk dirty to me. I was like, because I've been cooking in lockdown and since Mum passed, I was like, I'm going to whip you so hard, I'm going to turn you into a meringue. I love meringues.
So I was going to ask you about that. So like when you go through low moments in your life, I think you kind of discover sometimes the things that do get you through, like hobbies and interests, stuff like that. But you just answered the question. So you dived into a bit of cooking. Is that kind of kept you going a bit, kept your mind on something?
Yeah. I'm really enjoying it. I do a lot of slow cooker recipes. Love slow cooker. It's beautiful food. Yeah. That's great.
Cut some meat.
Yeah, just bang it in the morning and it's done. Tea time is brilliant.
Do you ever bang it in the morning, Dalu?
Oh, if she lets me. Oh, it looks like it's the final episode of the season. So I thought, are we going to do a reflective study on what went well?
I want to do some kind of reflective study, if that's all right with you guys.
I wish I hadn't bothered.
We'll be back. We'll be back.
See you guys. Nice to see you again.
Firstly, when we do our next season, I'm sincerely actually going to say apologies to Ben, because I actually think it was right. I think we've done some good stuff this season. I'm really proud of the stuff we've done, particularly with you guys joining in and mucking in and really getting involved in it. But when I think back sometimes, and I've watched a few back, it is quite depressing, isn't it? We have dived into mental health and all that lot, which is fine, and that's what the podcast is meant to be about. But my idea, I'm open to ideas for another season, is to concentrate on the positives of mental health, our passions, like Ben was saying about the cooking, like we're talking, and we have tried to do that, haven't we? We have tried to ask those kind of questions about what do you do in life, get shit, and so on. But yeah, to concentrate on life's passions, I think might be a way forward. We have done quite a bit of that, but but I'm really proud of what we've done. I also watched one, which was one of our first ones, when I was talking about seeing a counsellor and Paddy was talking about seeing a counsellor, and we've never talked about that again, Paddy. I don't know if you wanted to talk about it in any way whatsoever, but there might be some people that are listening that are going, well, what happened with Paddy and his counselling and his blah, blah, blah? Is his life on track or what? So is there anything you'd like to divulge at all on that? How's life been over lockdown and all that? And are you still doing the counselling?
Well, to the listener who asked the question, it's gone really well. It's interesting, isn't it? I think with everything, if you get a good connection it makes the world a difference. And I had actually 2 counsellors. The first one was a young lad, and he was obviously very new, and it just felt like he was very new. And he just really, it was like talking to a wall. I felt like Shirley Valentine. It just, there was a very little coming back, and it was interesting because when they did, I got this phone call from this new counsellor lady, and she just said, I'm the new counsellor, and having them dulcet Scouse tones come across, and I was like, oh right, okay, and she, what do you call it? She just said, can you do us a favour? Can you just talk a little bit about yourself and what you talked about with the previous counsellor? Because she said, I've got this, and held up like a piece of paper with about 6 lines on it. Now bear in mind we'd had like 3 sessions, so I thought, well, my views on him weren't that bad, were they, to be honest? He's moved jobs. I don't know where he's gone, but I hope he's a bricklayer. So and just straight away, just the talking, she set out the lines and what expectations were, but she was amazing. Very, very proactive. Talked about safe places to go in your mind if you get really upset, and all the really positive stuff. Just making sure that everything that we talked about, there was somewhere to go if it got too much, and she was just really, really good, and I noticed the difference really quickly, which I suppose, from my point of view, said that I was obviously in a place where I was prepared to listen. I wanted to talk, so that was the positive part of it. I could see differences, and she was able to sort of pull away at anger and the reasons for anger, and that really made a big difference quite quickly, to be honest. So I'm still seeing her, but obviously with COVID and everything, I mean, I've actually never physically met her, funnily enough, but with appointments and work, I've had to cancel a couple of appointments, but I've got another appointment, and she's going to start talking about the exit strategy, which is really, really good. And I like the sound of that. Though.
That's not suicide, is it? That's not suicide, surely.
I think she's just desperate to get away from me. I never fucking shut up.
Still in the curtains. That's the only way. That's the best exit strategy, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been really, really positive. The reason why I saw her was the reason why I expected it to be, because sometimes when you start pulling away at the anger and everything, it can be a different reason than you think. Maybe your anger's actually displaced onto something else, but actually it was pretty much what I thought it was. So and being able to sort of manage that was good. There was 2 things that I had to manage, and one of them was has really hurt for a long time, but she was able to pull that apart and just take a realistic look at it, and I'll always be grateful for that. So yeah, I did. You asked the question, so I rambled on. Sorry.
No. Ben, did you have a question with that?
Yeah. You said the councillor's a Scouser.
Yeah.
Surely your first question should have been red or blue.
Her question should have been red or blue. No,
well, either way.
Honestly, yeah. It's no, I never asked that question, but in the exit strategy, I'm going to ask you that question.
Yeah.
It's fucking interesting, that though. Really interesting to me, because the number of people that I've spoken to, which isn't that many actually, but I spoke to a few people that have been to counselling, and every single one. I remember Adam Corbley came on and said he spoke to a counsellor and all that lot. The apprentice guy. Everyone has said, I went to him about this, and they went, hang on with that. Just put that to one side for a second. How about this and this and this in your past? So what do you feel about this? Oh, okay. And all the way through my counselling, I was thinking, yeah, but I'll get back to this because I came to talk about this. Yeah. So like, surely we're going to go and talk about that. She's like, we will. But what about this, and this? And I'm like, oh yeah, oh shit, yeah. Oh yeah. It was all this. Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is mad. And I think my tip for anyone there who thinks that they have an issue they need to see a counsellor about or whatever is just try and be as open-minded as you can, because my experience and a few other people's experience in here has been that you don't necessarily know what it's about just because that thing is in your head. It's worth just being open, isn't it? But you've got to find the right counsellor as well. I think my dad had the same thing. I think my dad had a counsellor where he wasn't happy. He was like, I don't bond with that person at all. But then he's got another one. It's been great. It's strange, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's I don't know. It's like I don't know. It's like us, isn't it? People can't stand it. A lot of people. There's good and bad social workers, good and bad doctors. There's good and bad this. There's good and bad that. And I think, like you say, it just depends. You've got to. Sadly,
Dr. Dre. Yeah.
What's that?
Dr. Dre.
Bad rappers.
Just doctors. Bad doctors.
Dr. Pepper, he gives you diabetes.
Yeah. Dr. Fox. He's a doctor.
I wouldn't mind Dr. Evil.
Right, this is why we focus on mental health, because this is the level of our comedic. I thought Dr. Pepper was going to come involved in a second.
Yeah, diabetes doctor.
We have to can that one.
He's slagging us off just because he couldn't come up with a doctor quick enough. That's what it was. He was there going, "Oh, I need a doctor."
Shit, man. He was a doctor, apparently.
Andy, you just mentioned there that your old man went to counselling. Obviously, he's of a slightly senior generation. How's he got his head around kind of going to counselling and stuff?
He wasn't that keen on doing the counselling, but he's been on antidepressants for years. But basically, in summary with my dad, really, he'd been on antidepressants quite a bit. I never remember him as being depressed, but as he got maybe into his 60s, he took some antidepressants. And he struggled with getting old, and he's a big with exercise. He's been a big walker, and his hip gave way, and he couldn't go out. And I think he spent too much time one-on-one with my mum as well. You know, like too much time in because he was, and all of a sudden he just felt very old. I think very quickly because he used to be a bit of an adventurer and a walker, hiker, and So he just started to really struggle with life. Took the antidepressants, and basically after years of taking these ones, tried to come off them a few times. And really, really struggled to come off him. He went to see a guy who's a hypnotherapist, seems like a really good guy. I asked him to come on, but he won't come on because he's quite an introverted guy. But he's a very, very interesting guy, and he treats a lot of people in terms of coaching and stuff like that. But he also works for free with people that are terminally ill. And he's spoken to a lot of people that take this antidepressant. But I'd like to get him on maybe next series. This guy said, I've treated loads of people who have tried to come off that antidepressant, and he said it is next to impossible to come off it. You feel awful coming off it. And he was really bad to the point where he went to hospital. He was going to self-harm. This was last year. It got really bad. And he'd not been open to counselling. He'd been to see someone once that he wasn't happy with and just thought they've got qualifications. He didn't want to speak to them. But he's speaking to this guy now, a proper psychotherapist or whatever, and he quite likes him. I think he's getting on with it quite well. I think he's back on those antidepressants. There's a lot of what your uncle said, Ben. You know, a lot of time I think it can be finding the right drug as well. You know, it's not always an easy thing to do. It's finding the right therapist, the right drug. I don't think it's a one size fits all for anybody.
Yeah,
that's why I take this. Everybody has their own path, don't they? Sorry, Kelly.
No, I was just literally going to say, if anyone hasn't heard the pod before, look up one with Bernard Shevlin on Men Don't Talk, because even that episode really helped me, because I think I've got a positive mindset. But the one thing that gravitated me in that always left me as a quote is when he said, depression is addictive, but so is positivity. So it's like, we can't always help how depressed we are. I had a flipping major dip this weekend because we've been trying for kids for ages, and it's just been it's just been on my head. Do you know what I mean? One of the things that gets me down in life, not many things do. But yeah, it takes a couple of days to just flipping fight out of it. But now I'm trying to be in a more positive mindset. So I think in tying up me for everything on Men Don't Talk, it has been kind of strength in mindset and kind of maintaining that, not just relying that you have got strength of character, or do you know what I mean? You could, a bit of a bubbly personality is something you have to manage. Do you know what I mean? With looking after your well-being and laughing, bloody laughing. Do you know what I mean? It's just we're all doing little few things. We all talk about comedy separately, and those conversations can be a good positive note in the day, and that's something that I think getting into comedy has helped as well. And I think one of the things I noticed with Ben when I thought, oh, actually, he's not back to his normal self, because I don't think anyone can go immediately back after grief. I think grief is a year or two, sometimes 3 or 4. It's really one of these things that are long term, but we expect it to be so short in this quick microwave society that we live in. Do you know what I mean? Had a baby, you should get over it. Someone passed, you should get over it. It doesn't work like that. I think one of the things I noticed with Ben is when he actually posted his first joke on Facebook, and I was like, oh, there's something here. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's, even with myself, I will try and watch comedy sitcoms when I feel really crap. Do you know what I mean? I won't watch anything that's going to just further get you into that mindset. So yeah, mindset is a thing that's definitely left me this series.
I totally agree. I have always self-medicated with comedy. Maybe you guys at all, but I remember feeling low at uni and stuff sometimes, and all that kind of thing was like, right, trigger happy TV, something silly like that where you can't help but laugh. It's so stupid that you can't help but laugh. It just makes you feel better, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Guys, I was wondering, is there any other quotes that stand out from anyone else? It's interesting that, because I've got a few quotes that have stuck in my head from this series. That one of them being the Pastor Paul, that suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
Do you know what? Can I just say what the best quote of the series was?
What?
If you get an erection, use it.
Whose was that?
I wonder who that great philosopher was.
I think he was Greek, ancient Greek, probably.
Took that straight out of Homer, though, didn't you? Homer Simpson. No.
Yeah.
Boner Simpson.
Good.
Are there any other bits you remember then? Any bits that stick in your mind that were said? Paddy, anything? Putting you on the spot, but who was your favourite guest or anything like that? What bits have stuck in your mind, helped you?
I think it's unfair to say who the favourite guest was, because they were all so different. I'm trying to think of the one that we laughed at the most. I mean, obviously I laughed at Kevin Dewsbury because it was my guest, and Tom Short I thought was really good. I liked Tom because I thought he was very, very open and honest about his mental health, but also he was really engaging. And you look at him and he's going from strength to strength.
Doing very well on YouTube, isn't he?
He's smashing it. Yeah, he's and he's going to be. I think he's going to be quite a star. I'll tell you who else was really good. When you're impressed by young people, Jack and David.
Yeah,
I thought they were absolutely superb. I thought the two of them were just great entertainment. But then we had the diversity of I've got his name. Your mate from that you met in church.
Oh, JJ, yeah.
JJ, oh my God! I tell you what, like you say, I'd be happy to be his friend now, but I don't know. Back in the day, I'd have been like, oh, hello.
Andrew Ryan was my favourite. I think he's hilarious. I know he's my mate and everything, but he's hilarious. He really is.
He was brilliant, Ben.
Yeah, if anyone gets a chance to watch him live, he's hilarious. He really is.
I didn't realise how big time he is. He's a big comic, isn't he, Andrew Ryan?
Oh, yeah, he is. He's doing pretty well,
Yeah, and there's some bits that stuck in my mind with Andrew Ryan about self-awareness. And it makes me think, and I think my self-awareness has improved quite a bit, but I'm aware of my negativity. I'm aware when I can get in a negative mood. I'm aware when I can be rude to people and overtalk people. That kind of stuff. And I think that can really help you with your comedy. I've never really put that together, but he was very big on that, wasn't he? About knowing yourself, go out there, make some mistakes, put yourself out there, keep going at it. You'll become self-aware if you keep trying. Well, and I think it was really good advice.
I just want to say, if Andrew's listening to this, he phoned me up not long because he talked about his mum passing away on the pod. His mum passed away at the end of last year from cancer. And he phoned me up not long after he heard what happened to her mum, and we had a long chat. He was really good. I'm so happy he did. He's such a nice guy. Really.
Oh, good guy.
Yeah, fair play. Really lovely.
I think that self-awareness came across as well with some of the comedians we had, the more senior comedians we had on. Oh my God, I've got mind freeze.
I think for me, the Naked Professor, I thought he was very. I thought he was going to be like a toxic, not like an anti-toxic masculinity kind of guy, but in his vulnerableness that he actually showed that he's more of a man than most men, because he actually is so comfortable in talking about the things that he does. So yeah, someone like that I thought actually was quite.
Dick, to be honest.
Wow. And if you're listening,
yeah.
We can have honesty. That's fine. Yeah, but let's not forget our golfer friend, John Devlin. John Devlin.
Yes,
John
Devlin. Yeah.
Our most watched pod. John Devlin was fantastic.
Yeah.
He was really, really raw, wasn't he? The fact that he was coming out with stuff, I think that was really helpful. And I've used a few motivational videos occasionally as well since that, because if he can manage his own PTSD by just watching positive motivational videos, then I've done it occasionally. I've put them on since and just thought, try it. It's not necessarily for me, but I just thought, even if you get a little bit of it, you get a little bit of that positivity from it. I watched a similar vein to that, Kevin Hart on Rogan, and I keep talking about Rogan. I'm not Rogan's biggest fan, but the guests he has on, I am. And I'm not a huge fan of Kevin Hart's comedy, but you cannot argue with that man. If you've watched an interview with Kevin Hart, how dynamic and positive he is. He's got such positive energy for the world and anything he does. And it really does rub off. Like, it really does. That rubs off on me, that kind of that way of thinking. Every bad thing that can happen in your life, you can turn it into a positive. You can. Has anyone seen the Michael Jordan thing on Netflix?
I turned it off.
Did you?
Yeah, I couldn't be arsed watching it.
Gary came dressed as him.
Well,
Sorry,
the last
I'll
dance.
I'll take it back.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I'm going to continue watching it.
No, I was in that generation that grew up on Chicago Bulls being like, a big influence in basketball, and I really enjoyed playing it as a kid. So it was really nice reminiscing and looking back at things and how the game's changed and stuff. But if you're not a fan of Michael Jordan or basketball, it's not worth watching. It's a bit like someone saying, "Oh, did you watch the new Tiger Woods thing?" And I'll be like, "No."
My mates that are not into basketball watched it, and were like, it was amazing, absolutely amazing. Just the psychology of the guy. The psychology of that guy is such a winner. Like, there's such a big ego that comes into that as well for being a winner. But he's the thing that I made was when his
ego had to be crushed. To it's like boxers, isn't it? The coaches basically strip and remove their actual themselves until they're like a fighting machine, and it's a bit like that with most athletes. They have to kind of take away all the things and they become so single-minded on this particular win or this challenge or this particular goal. And and it's nice to see them when they have a bit of character. Like Jordan wasn't really one of character. He did it by exampleship. But I also like guys like Muhammad Ali or Usain Bolt, where you actually see them enjoying the experience. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no one who doesn't enjoy watching Usain Bolt when he's the only out of the 10 athletes who'll go up to the girl and share a laugh in that little moment where all the rest of them are panicked. They're back and forth, they're worried. And he's just, I like that mindset. Yeah.
But that thing he did, I never realized his dad was murdered, and then he said that the thing that his dad always taught him, even after his dad's own murder, was you can always get a positive from a negative experience. You can always turn it round. You can always turn that round. And like that's heavy, isn't it? But like it was like I had to, and all that. And you saw the emotion in him when he finally won that championship after and stuff. It was, I think it's a great watch, that one. Yeah. He'll be the next guest, Michael Jordan. Everyone, we'll have him on next time.
The one that got me in the London Olympics, I can't remember her name. She won the judo gold medal, and she started crying when she won it and looked up to the sky. She said, "I love you, Mum." Yeah,
Taekwondo, the kicker, wasn't she? Yeah.
Was it Jay Johnson was one of them?
Yeah, I think it might be. Yeah.
I think her mum had died recently or something.
Yeah.
Because she looked up to the sky straight after.
Yeah. I remember Frank Lampard doing the same as well and all that lot. Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Aye. Any other quotes from people within the series? I'm trying to think. There were some in my head that people definitely stuck with me. Definitely.
I think it was most of the flipping COVID strategies as well. They were pretty good as well because we're still in. I can't believe we're still in lockdown. Like we've never done. If anyone's listening to this, we've never done this pod of. We've not actually met each other outside of. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah, there's no excuse. Really we need to now, though. We're allowed to meet in a pub. It's fine.
Well, not if you're in Manchester.
No, we're not. We're from different households.
Are you not allowed to meet in the pub now if you're different households?
You are, because you live in Cheshire somewhere.
We behave ourselves. That's what it is.
Me and Paddy will meet up.
I live in Shropshire, so I'm allowed to.
Oh, true. Yeah, it's just Alu.
Who's we lost?
Yeah.
He's left now.
So technically, Billy's from a different house, so we can all meet.
True, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Paddy, remember before? I'll let you get off lightly, sorry. And if you don't want to talk about it, I've got both hands in the air, both palms raised. You don't have to talk about it at all. But
when you said, I just put 2 fingers up, so you know.
When you said about those bits of anger, is there anything you'd share on that? Like, you don't have to, honestly. But when you said like there's kind of some inbuilt anger and all that lot that kind of came out, is there anything you'd go into there?
It was anger because I was angry. It was the anger was at me. There was 2 angers. There was one aimed at someone else, but there was doing real anger at myself because as a child I behaved a certain way, and and it wasn't bad, but to me, looking back on it and living it, it was a hurtful action that I did or didn't do. Right, okay. I'm just having to be really careful what I say because it's if you think about the last time you saw someone, right?
Yeah.
And you do something as a child, which is a flippant, or it wasn't. It was quite. It was a behaviour that we did, which wasn't meant to be nasty, but it was meant to be hurtful.
Okay.
And then you never see that person again.
Right.
And holding that anger is really, really hard. And basically I held that for quite a long time. And they had to go around the questions of what would she think? What would your mum think about that's why it's a difficult one to talk about under the circumstances. So I'm just sort of being mindful about talking about it. And they just asked the question, what would that person's view have been of you? And at that point you have to realise that, you know, you're a child. You don't know what's going to happen next. You behave like a child, and you can grow up and you can be a 54-year-old fella looking back to that moment when it happened and hold that anger for years. But you were a child. You weren't 54. You weren't 44, 34, 24. You know, and that's the thing. And it was about actually accepting that. And one thing I would say to anyone, is don't regret anything. You know, don't put yourself in a position where you have regrets. Really,
if you get an erection, use
it. That's it then. Spot on, mate. If you've got one, use it. And really try not to have a regret.
But only when they're like.
When you were off, we should have just had a recording of that.
Just put it in whenever.
Just finish everything.
That's really interesting, Paddy. That I find that, yeah. So, were there any techniques that she used in terms of like, how do you then? Have you let go of some of that then? Is it all feel a bit better?
When I talk about it like now, yeah, because it's raw, because you feel that anger that you had, but it's just about actually learning to breathe with it, learning to just sort of have techniques of just controlling how you're feeling, and keep saying to yourself, you're just a child. There was nothing. You can't change anything. Don't regret it. Don't keep going on about it in your mind, because you'll just make every day becomes painful. So, and she was right. She was right. So, and it's if you can accept it, you can move on. And I'm accepting it now. It's still a bit raw. I still feel that way, but in my head, I know that it's the right thing.
Right, great share that, mate. Great share. Dallo, have you ever seen a counsellor or anything like that? Have you ever had struggles in that regard or not?
No, I think I mentioned before, but I've got a fairly kind of good circle of I've got two good mates that I kind of will bounce off, bad moments in life, and then people that I do kind of will gravitate to and talk to about certain things. There's probably I'm that weird guy at work that will just have that random deep conversation with you, and that'll be our cementing. So not a lot of people will know something, but I'll randomly talk to the accountant and they'll be like, oh yeah, this happened. I'll be like, oh, do you know what? Yeah, it's happened to me. And then that is my de-shelling. Do you know what I mean? I think because I'm similar to Paddy, we do a lot of work where we hear a lot of people's problems. So in effect, sometimes you feel bad about moaning about your own, because you feel like actually I should be counting my blessings. At least I'm not in this particular situation. But when you look at the work we do, I can't say we're like nowhere near police or anything like that, but we see people usually at their worst. If you need if you signed up to a service similar to ours, you're things are going pretty badly. If you're seeing a social worker, usually things are going pretty badly. So it's that element of you learn to create coping methods for yourself, but like Paddy said, there's always every structure there's a break-even point, isn't there? And I always used to use the metaphor for the Eiffel Tower. It's one of the strongest steel structures in the world, but throughout the year it has maintenance because it needs it. And our minds, our brains, our mental health is of similar value. And I think the more that I'm getting into the realm of understanding about mindfulness and mental health and well-being and focusing on the positive, those are the things that have brought me through. But occasionally, my missus will notice, I'll stay quiet for a bit, and then 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, baby, you're awake, we need to talk. And it's it's the worst thing. She never stresses because she knows if I do that, it's usually something, that's been on my mind for a while, because I over-process, I over-analyze, and I think that's a lot of people nowadays. And sometimes you just have to get out of your own headspace, find something that gives you a bit of positivity, whether it's comedy, getting out, doing something that gives you a bit of purpose. And I think sometimes helping others can give you a bit of purpose. But that gives me another segue to comedy. And Ben.
Politicians have made me laugh through this whole COVID-19 thing. Sunny Patel, she's the Home Secretary, and she came out and said under the Conservative government in lockdown, shoplifting has fallen. There's fucking no shops open. What an achievement that is. Just what an absolute dick. And who else? Politician. Angela Merkel came out and said COVID-19 is Germany's biggest challenge since World War II. Well, at least she didn't cause this one.
To our German listeners.
Oh, Ben, you missed a great episode that
I
All right, sorry.
Boris Johnson, he's now about as popular as a meal out on a Thursday. Eat heads help out and all that shit. Come on.
You were still working on that before the show.
Press Monday to Wednesday.
You were still working on that before the show, Ben. You peaked. You've come too early.
Peak Angela Merkel. Always peaking with Germans.
Would Billy Connolly come on to Parkinson with untried material? Do you know what I mean?
Mate, you missed a great episode a couple of weeks ago that I think is probably our second highest viewed about porn addiction.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That went off like a bomb, that, on YouTube, didn't it?
I definitely would have liked Ben's opinions on porn addiction on that day.
Guess what I was doing while you were recording that? I was busy.
My brother sent me a message after that and say, "You're trying to stop guys watching porn now. What's the next episode? Trying to teach them to stop breathing air."
Yeah.
That should have been used on the pod. That should have been used on the pod. But interestingly enough, it was beyond that, and that's what was good about it. It sort of took that next step and linked to it's not just about the porn; it's about the effect. And I thought that was a really good pod, to be honest. Especially when we watched the films. The films were great.
The research.
The most researched topic we've ever looked into.
When I was a kid, the best film in the world was Emmanuel 2. I saw it on Channel 5. I saw some fan on it. It's incredible. It's only about 14. I saw for real vaginas.
Faulty Towers.
Absolutely.
Emmanuel. I'll write that one down, mate. Write that one down.
We're talking 1970s stuff.
Right, Ben, I want to ask you, because I reckon I'm around about the middle of, like, you know, our touchy-feely guy who is the naked professor. I don't think I'm there, right? But I also don't think I'm a guy who's like, fucking get on with it, fucking man up, all that kind of shit. I reckon what I'm trying to come down to is, Dally mentioned something about, like, calm and all that kind of stuff and, like, self-help and meditation and that kind of thing. My missus listens to one in the evening now because she's got, like, a bit of an IBS. Like, she gets a bit stressed out or whatever.
I like you sharing that with everyone.
She won't.
Really
mate, she doesn't listen. No one listens anyway, so it's fine. No, she's not bothered. And I listened to it because she's got it on before we go to sleep. And I was like, I'll try it. I'll try it for a couple of nights. I actually quite liked it. But it's not something that it's not something that I would actively pursue. And I don't think you would necessarily either, would you? But would you ever consider, like, anything like that? Because you remember when he said, I did a thing in Ibiza where we had some guys around to Ibiza, and you were like, fuck that, I'd go to get pissed. and I'm a bit the same. I'm a bit between. I'd be like, I'd like to get pissed, but I'd kind of like to explore, like, the touchy-feely stuff, but I'm a bit like, I don't know. But where do you stand with that? Would you ever think, if someone ever recommended, like, a calm app or whatever, is that something that you think would help you, like, particularly going through rough times and shit like that? Or are you more...
I believe it or not, I use all that shit.
Do you?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What are you using?
I'm not a good sleeper. Not a good sleeper at all. But I've got a cure. I've got to get this out there. I do a lot of research on sleep. And is
this porn again?
No. Cool. I mean, anyone can wank themselves to sleep, but it's painful in the morning. Glycine. It works for me. It's genius. So I wear my watch for sleep. I wear my watch all night, and it tells me in the morning what my sleep's been like. And you need deep sleep to know you've had a really good night's sleep. A couple of hours of deep sleep. And I used to get 1 hour maximum deep sleep. And I started...
Should have been listening to the top end, shouldn't you?
That would have got me off. I put a cold sweat though.
Don't put this as the advert, Andy. Even the hosts fall asleep listening to their own podcast.
Sorry, Ben, I should have interrupted.
Counting sheep, you lot. Should call it Counting Sheep, your podcast.
Counting listeners. Doesn't take long.
Counting in one hand.
Yeah.
Anyway, for the last time, Ben Shevlin. B45 in the post. Bring it UB40 joke out.
Nah, shit.
Come on, I'm intrigued, Ben. What have you been using then? What app or whatever then you've been using for it? How have you got the deeper sleep?
Oh, sorry, yeah. We're talking about porn still.
It might be. It depends.
No, it's glycine. It is a very simple amino acid that your body produces naturally, but I just take a little teaspoon of it. Like it's a sports supplement as well, because people use it for muscle, getting more muscle and that. But just take a little teaspoon of it, put it 10 minutes before you want to go to sleep, and fast asleep in no time. You've heard it here first. Well, I get this stuff over from America called Dream Well. It's by a company called More Labs. They also do a hangover prevention drink called Morning Recovery, which is excellent. But I haven't got a job with them yet, but trying. I recommend everyone to get Morning Recovery. Anyone who drinks, get it. It's incredible. Paddy, you'd love it.
Is it the same company? Is it the same company that does Donald Trump's bleach injection?
No,
I don't get hangovers, mate. You know that. Don't get hangovers. So
hang on. What is this? It's a powder or a supplement or something that you take then?
It's either in a powder. You can get tablet. I don't know what the tablet form, whether it works for sleep, but it's a powder and pure glycine, and I just take a little teaspoon. It knocks me out to sleep.
Where'd you get it, and who recommended that then? You say you do the research yourself.
Yeah. The company's called More Labs, and basically there's this Dreamwell supplement drink that they do, and I got some of that over from America, and then I get the ingredients and kind of buy them individually, and glycine's the one that gives you the deep sleep. There's another one that I'm trying to get, which is forgive me any Chinese listeners. Don't worry, it's not going to be bad. It's called Avodia Ruticaba, or something along those lines, which negates caffeine, apparently. So I'm trying to get that as a herbal thing. I think it's some Chinese fruit or something.
Why do you have caffeine in the evening or something?
Well, no. But if I drink too much in the morning, that'll keep me awake at night. I'm pretty weak when it comes to things like that.
And did that carry on working even during? Sorry, Paddy, but during the times that you've been through recently and stuff like that, has that carried on?
That's when I started using it.
Oh, is it right?
The Dreamwell stuff, I was using that, and the night before my mum's funeral, I knew that was going to be the worst night, and I think I got about 3 hours sleep or something. But because of the glycine, I had 3 hours sleep, but 2 hours deep, so I didn't feel that bad at all.
Oh, interesting.
Felt okay. But
you'd have to send that to us, mate.
Sorry?
You'd have to send that to us.
Well, I'm hoping that if they hear that I'm promoting them, they'll get in touch with me and just send loads of free ones. That's what they do for.
That's fair enough. So if anyone's listening from Porsche, obviously, I'm very, very interested in trying a free sample.
You want a Porsche? You want a new Porsche?
Oh dear!
I think that's a brandy.
No, hey, listen, I've knocked the brandy on the head for a short period. Hey, I'm on gin now.
Hey, there's another one. There's another scratch I need to itch there, Dalu. What's happened with regard to, you were saying you're on a bit of a health kick and stuff like that. Take us through that. Why, when, what's happened, and is it going all right?
Yeah, it's going all right. It's I think it was probably the beginning of lockdown. Like most people, we filled up, the fridge, the freezer, the cupboards, and then realised actually everything is still running as pretty much as normal. So it was like Christmas the first kind of month or two. It was just kind of, should we have a bacon again for breakfast, and ribs for lunch, shall we? Steak for dinner, and then you start realising you're getting a bit paunchy. And then so I think in the last month, just doing a bit more, focusing on having healthy smoothies, full of spinach and goodness, and it does feel better, doing a bit of exercise and weights, shaking a bit of the cobwebs off, because if you think about it, lockdown, if you're working from home or if you're just based at home and you've got nothing to really challenge your body, even if it's just doing a couple of push-ups, stretches, getting the blood circulating and flowing, after 3 or 4 days of just sat there couch potato, you feel crap. And then the moment you just stretch or move around, touch your toes, skip around, you start to feel a bit better.
Is Mr. Motivator your uncle?
He should be.
Yeah. Is that racist? I don't know.
Yeah, if you've watched
for this.
If you've watched the Black Lives Matter one, mate, then we had some words of wisdom from Dalu's dad, which were no stereotype racist jokes anymore and all that kind of stuff. And I'm a big fan of a joke that makes everyone squirm, but we know we don't mean it and all that lot. But that's made me think a bit, Dalu. It has made me think a bit. It's destroyed my sense of humour. But
I spoke to someone the other day, and I used to do a lot of Asian accents, and even I have to consider, like, do I take that out of my act, because I don't want to be the guy that is explaining, well, I've got eight of my Asian mates, they like it, yeah, but the nation doesn't. Do you know what I mean? Like the whole nation of Pakistan or Bangladesh, or they may have complete opposite thoughts. If a big black guy is going, and doing whatever, but it's yeah. So I think the phrase that I learned from comedy sports: if in doubt, leave it out. Do you know what I mean? If it's something that you're,
I'm more if in doubt, stick it in. To be honest,
it's got about sex now.
It's all about kids.
Right, gents, I think that's probably time for me. I'm going to have to do a little darty.
Yeah. We'll be back. We know we'll be back. We'll let people know when. Maybe September, October. Try and line some more guests up, and when we come back, we'll try and concentrate on some positives, and have a laugh. See if we can keep Ben involved to distract us from the doom of talking about mental health.
It needs to be more comedy in it.
We can do it. We can focus on the positives.
Agreed. Well, thank you for the invite, though. It's been enjoyable. I've enjoyed the series. Really.
Yeah, no problem. We've all been apart, and we'll all stay a part of it. For me, it's keep the train running.
I feel like we should end in some sort of Power Ranger fisting. Is that men talk?
Fisting.
Should we end with a good fisting?
Oh, said from the man from the van. I'm all right. This is why we haven't met yet. What was your expression? When in doubt, stick it in. So no. Not for me, sir. Not for me.
You've got an erection. If you haven't got an erection, don't bother.
Well, yeah. If anyone gets any comments, like I get comments from people about guests lining up and all that, then just give us a text. We'll get people on. Definitely, I'm definitely up for getting some good stories on and stuff like that.